Yes, folks, it's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Do please like and subscribe. And hey, don't forget to leave me some comments. You know, if you've got any comments on this or any other subjects that you want me to discuss, I'll be delighted to reciprocate and respond. Yeah, so do that, yeah. Today I'm going to talk about the Blackpool poisoner, Louisa May Merrifield. Yeah, now Louisa May Merrifield was born in Wigan in the year 1906, and she was subsequently married 3 times, by the way. And with her third husband, she became employed working for a lady called Sarah Ricketts in Blackpool on Devonshire Road. They were living handyman and companion and assistant, health assistant. That was Mrs. Louisa May Merrifield. Her original name was not Merrifield, of course. She was that was the name of her husband. Yeah. Originally, she was Louisa May Highway. Yeah, now let me just talk a little bit about the crime that she committed. Sarah Ricketts was a strange lady, apparently, quite diminutive. She was about 4'8" high, not very tall, and she was a strange eating habit. She would eat jam, raw strawberry jam, blackcurrant jam, straight from the jar. And it was into this mix that she had. She would also wash it down with rum or stout. Yeah, so she was not exactly a saint herself in that respect, I don't suppose. If being a bit of a boozer and addicted to jam is anything to go by. Yeah. Anyway, what happened was Louisa May Merrifield decided that she would get Sarah Ricketts to change her will. Now, apparently Sarah Ricketts was of a habit of consistently changing her will. If anybody that she left money to or whatever, then she would, and she had a disagreement with them, and she'd call a solicitor in and change her will. So apparently Louisa May Merrifield and her husband Albert Merrifield worked on this lady and persuaded her to change her will and make them the beneficiaries of her estate. And she would, Louisa May Merrifield and Albert would actually inherit the bungalow. Now, Louisa May Merrifield had this strange drinking habit, and she would drink to excess and then start to make wild boasts about her estate and how she was going to inherit this estate. And she was actually making statements to the effect that she was she'd already inherited this estate, and the woman had died when in actual fact Sarah Ricketts was still alive. And of course, at her subsequent trial at Manchester Crown Court or Manchester Assizes, to the people that she'd been boasting to about looking after the corpse of Sarah Ricketts and how she'd inherited this thing came forward and gave evidence. She'd even written a letter to somebody to say, you know, one of her former employers, and say, it's finally all come good for me. I've inherited this house. It's worth £4,000, which at the time in 1953 was quite a lot of money. And Devonshire Road, a bungalow on Devonshire Road. Yeah, it's still there. Anyway, so the people that she'd communicated with about the death of Sarah Ricketts, who was still alive at the time, came forward at Manchester Crown Court and gave evidence against her. What she'd done was she'd gone to the local chemist and bought something called Rodine. Now, that's a poison. You had to sign for it at the chemist's. Yeah, it's a rat poison, yeah. and she'd mixed this rat poison in with Sarah Ricketts' jam, so that when Sarah Ricketts ate this concoction, it terminated her life. Of course, she died in the early evening, and Louisa May Merrifield did not contact anybody until the following day. And she expedited the process or attempted to expedite the process of getting the body cremated, and did not advise of any of the relations of Sarah Ricketts. Didn't advise them that the lady had died. Simply got in a undertaker to actually get on with the job. But one of the people that she'd been boasting to heard of the death of this lady through the newspaper in the obituary column, and went to the police and told the police that Louisa May Merrifield had actually been boasting about this 2 weeks before it actually happened. The police made various investigations, found that Louisa May Merrifield had signed the poisons register at the chemist, and the post-mortem of Sarah Ricketts indicated that she had ingested this Rodine, the rat poison, and that was a contributory factor to her death. At Manchester Crown Court, she was found guilty. Albert, her husband, was found to be... The judge said he was a simpleton, so she'd obviously manipulated him. And she was sentenced to death by hanging and taken from the court to Strangeways Prison, where she was held on I-Wing. Now, at the time, Strangeways Prison in the 1950s had two sides to it. There was the male prison, which is the one with the rotunda and all the, like the panopticon design, with the wings spiralling off it, like the spokes of a wheel. And there was the female prison, and the female prison was separate to that. And on I-Wing, I believe she was on I-2 landing. That's where Louisa May Merrifield was held, and she was subsequently executed by Albert Pierrepoint on the 18th of September 1953. She had appealed against her conviction and sentence, but Sir Maxwell Fyfe, who was the Home Secretary, refused the appeal, and she was subsequently hung by the neck by Albert Pierrepoint, who said that the execution had gone extremely well. And another strange thing is the ghost of Louisa May Merrifield. Now, I've been asked to discuss any sights of phantoms or hauntings or paranormal adventures in the prisons. Well, I was working on I-Wing, and one of the inmates, it was at lunchtime, began banging on his door and shouting for help. So I went to see what the problem was. I opened his door, said, "Now calm down, what is it, you know?" He said, "There's a lady in the room." Now, I had seen what looked to me like a shadow. I just assumed it was a shadow, you know, going into the cell, or looked like it was going into the cell. So when I opened the door, after this guy was banging on his cell door, he told me that there'd been a woman in his cell, and he described this woman as being not very tall and rather rotund. Now, I've got a photograph here of Louisa May Merrifield. Yeah, you can see that, yeah. Oh, there we are. Yeah, that's Louisa May Merrifield, yeah. That's photographed in 1953, yeah. Oh. And I'd seen this dark shadow enter the cell, and I do believe that was the ghost of Louisa May Merrifield. And seriously, Strangeways is haunted, and one of the ghosts is the Blackpool poisoner. Yes. Subsequently, Madame Tussauds made a model of Louisa May Merrifield and her husband Albert and had them in the Chamber of Horrors Museum, labelled as the Blackpool poisoner. Song dinger. Yes, folks, I'm going to read you a poem now. This is a poem I wrote about my grandson. It's called Grandpa Grumps. Because when my daughter gave birth to her first child, she said, well, what do you want to be called now? Grandpa, grandfather, you know. I said, no, call me Grumps. Seriously. So, up to the age of about 9 or 10, my grandson thought my name was Grumps, because everybody called me Grumps. Even the kids next door and round about. Aye, hello Grumps, you know. Some of them still do, but they're all grown up now, of course. And my grandson is 21 at Leicester University in the final year of a master's degree in engineering. Grandpa Grumps by John G. Sutton. I've just become a grandfather. My daughter gave birth to a lad, and suddenly all of my mourning has stopped, 'cause now I'm just glad. I used to think days were real hard like, all working and plodding away, just filling in time till me passing, but now, well, I'm planning to stay. Wife says I'm getting a smirk on, I'm laughing and chuckling at kid, watching him yelling and skriking, just like his mother once did. Now I see that this life's got a purpose, and all of the trials, hurts and bumps have turned into lessons I learned from on the road to Grandpa Grumps. But though I might be an old codger, grey hair, baldy patch and fat tum, to one little chap I'm still perfect, and that fella, well, it's me grandson. You see, it's all down to perception. He sees not the signs of old age, but a person that offers affection, his very own jolly plump sage. I tell him tall tales of brave exploits, read nursery rhymes, and sing songs. He sits on my knee and starts laughing, and never a day is too long. Dear God, let this boy live in freedom. Do not let his innocence spoil. As he faces this world and its troubles, may he find peace of mind, not just toil. Then one day, when my song is a memory, and he's travelled and wearing life's lumps, God, grant him a grandchild to cuddle, and he too will be Grandpa Grumps. There you are. Grandpa Grumps by John G. Sutton. Hope you enjoyed that, folks. Do like and subscribe, and don't forget to get a copy of my book.